Saludos a todos. Para la temporada Solo hay un Bach en su cuarta edición. Es un placer y un privilegio enorme recibir como invitado especial nuevamente al maestro Dietrich Henschel, barítono, cantante, magnífico intérprete de la música barroca, de la música de Bach. I have to say in English. When we have the opportunity to hear a great singer bringing to life the music of a deceased composer with precision and mastery, it's as if a kind of intimate connection is created with the composer, his ideas, and the countless hours invested in each written sentence. I dare say that listening to the maestro Dietrich Henschel singing any recitative or aria written by Johann Sebastian Bach is like being in the presence of Bach himself. Due to his excellence and the ever-increasing demand for his work, he is considered as one of the best Bach singers of all times, a regular guest at major opera houses, as a valued interpreter of song and oratorio, even as the inventor and the protagonist of a wide range of multimedia projects. His repertoire ranges from Monteverdi to the avant-garde. Listening to him singing Bach, Mahler, Wolf, or whomever composer's music is like witnessing a masterclass in singing, not just for any baritone, for every singer. He has been one of the principal soloists who works with Bach experts as Sir John Eliot Gardiner, John Nelson, Philippe Herrewighe, Nicolaus Harnoncourt, and Sir Colin Davis, next to other great singers and musical groups as Anne-Sophie von Otter, Ruth Sisak, Bernarda Fink, Joyce Donato, Matthias Gerne, Monteverdi Choir, Arnold Schoenberg Chor, Concentus Musicus Wien, and many more. One more time, I must thank you for being here in the fourth edition of Season Bach. For me, a simple fan, it's an honor and a blessing. An interview like this is an occasion to learn about the vision, career, and trajectory of a singer who's established in every sense. I'm going to start by asking you about the first experiences as a music student, a singer, a musician, and also a conductor. How did the young baritone approach music in those years, and what is your current view?
Well, my start was very early. I went to a musical school in Germany at the age of 10, so-called Musisches Gymnasium. And I was trained from the age of 10, as well as vocally as instrumentally in piano, and I studied several other instruments in terms to become my original plan was to become a conductor, and I studied conducting as well, and piano, and all these instrumental studies have been a very nice preparation for me as an interpreter of, not only Bach, but all the vocal music as well, of course. The approach to the music of Bach started by the vocal approach started by being member of a choir, of a children's choir first, and then choir of our school. We did performances of all the oratories and cantatas regularly, and this was how I learned the style and how I learned the love for the beauty of polyphonic music.
Sure.
And because Bach is the master of polyphonic music, this is, for me, probably this was the key experience to learn about all the voices which are independently existing from each other and building a big carpet of a sound then with so many details and structures, and with so many, with so much characterization of a philosophical content brought into musical lines, and by choral singing as well into harmony. And I'd say this connection between the religious philosophy of Bach and his belief, which is represented in his music, was probably the key for me, the key to his music.
Okay, sure. In the last interview, we talked about you listening Bach chorals works as a child, and you as a soloist next to greatest conductors, singing his cantatas, Patience, and many works. After all these years, what do you think about Bach's personality, or what have you discovered about him through his music as a man?
Well, that is very difficult to say, because I never performed this music to understand the character of Bach himself. What is quite obvious is that Bach was setting his music as a celebration of his belief, and he did this in a very personal way, and his personal musical style is very, very complex. So must have been he himself. I would say he tried to be only a sort of medium for the message he wanted to acclaim. That's probably the key to his music. Is you need to believe in what you do, in what he does, in what he says, and in what he wants to announce. Even if you're not religious, even if you're atheist, even if you are against religion, this music does work only with this belief into the message. And I'd say the greatest performers might have been atheists, but the moment they were performing, they
Yeah.
have believed. They are the moment they are performing, they believe.
Okay. With Monteverdi Choir and many conductors, you sung all the cantatas written by Bach. You have been witness of those written for different voices next to people like Sir Gardiner and Hervé Bige. What can you tell us about the cantatas, the complexity, and what they represent for any baritone or singer?
Well, there are cantatas for every occasion, even several for the same religious celebration, or sometimes he uses the same music which he used in a religious context for a non-religious context. It is music which is which has an absolute quality. So it is a way to build a perfect organism, and this perfect organism can be handled in different ways and in different contexts, but the perfection stays in this musical organism. That's what I have to say. It is getting more clear the more you do it, and if you start to perform several maybe 50, 60 cantatas within short time, you get closer and closer to the result of an absolute piece of art, and not so much to an idea beyond the music. It is the music itself which counts.
Yes. And what's your favorite Bach cantata and why?
Actually, I do not have a favorite one. I like
Okay.
them all. I would say The moment you're performing one of these areas, doesn't matter which cantata, the moment you're performing this area, you are melted into this organism,
Yes.
and you like this one the most in the moment you perform it.
Okay.
There's no way to perform it differently than loving it best the moment of the
Yes,
performance.
without doubt. What's the vocal and musical difference between those and the Bach Passions, even compared with other oratorios or the Mass in B minor and all the other works written by Bach?
I'd say the Passions, they are very dramatic pieces. They have a theatrical idea behind, and they tell a story which was known to everybody at that time, and they illustrate it in a very, very dramatic way. The B minor Mass is as theatrical as the Passions, but a Mass has no theatrical content, only a religious one. Bach turns it into a dramatical thing by using musical means to underline certain aspects. And this Mass was composed for a Catholic performance. Bach was a Protestant, and the most of his music is written in German, on German texts, on German lyrics, and which he built by himself, by the way. He extracted from several books by him, and gave these texts a context, and built these cantatas by himself. In the Passions, he's using the Bible as a frame and the chorals as a spiritual reflection about this story. And in the Mass, he is using the words of the Catholic Latin Mass in a way that he gives a commentary as a Protestant to the Catholic Mass, which is sometimes even ironic and very. If he has an ironic eye on it, even he is so free in his look at this music, at this content, that he can use his music to comment it in a very personal and slightly ironic way. It is nevertheless a fantastic feast of music. It is so great in its construction that you will hardly find a greater celebration of these words, even if they are in Latin here. And if he comes to the phrase the Catholic Church is mentioned in the Catholic Mass, ad unam sanctam catholicam et apostolicam ecclesiam.
I believe in that. That's the message.
Church. He does it in a way, and this is exactly the second bass area in this piece. He does it in a way that makes you really smile and look at it with joy at the same time. It's indescribable. No one else could make, with an ironic touch, such a great impression and feast out of a phrase which he does not personally support himself. It's a miracle.
Yes, and he wrote for the basso voice with so much movement. The arias are full of movement, coloratura, and all that, and are not similar to the contralto's aria that are full of long phrases and all the lines. As a musician and especially a conductor, what do you recommend to young musicians who want to conduct Bach music?
Question. It's difficult to say
Yeah.
how you should start, but I'd say the key is
You have to love that music. You have to study the music, the harmony. You have to, yeah.
study the music, the harmony, the polyphonic aspects, and all of this. But well, I'd say this music you find into it by doing it, and by equalizing everyone's style. So I would recommend to a conductor who wants to conduct a choir, sing this in a good choir. Then you will learn how the style of everyone has to be unified, has to be melted into each other's actions, and one line goes over in another line, and one. Well, I'd say the best way to approach to this music is to sing it in a group, in a choir, and
Yes.
the best way as an instrumentalist is also to play it in a group with others, to adapt styles and to learn from each other's well, maybe from experienced people, how you well, yeah, how certain things are to be done. I'd say this growing into it by doing it is what I would recommend to as well musicians, singers,
Yeah.
and conductors.
And singing in a choir is the best workout for musicians because you're using your principal instrument, the voice. Yeah.
Yes, I'd say even if you're not a trained singer, singing in a
Yes.
choir will train you and will make you adapt to what well the singer next to you is doing. And this is the way also John Eliot Gardiner and his English Baroque solists were working. They performed together, and the ones who have been experienced with the music already, they were positioned next to the younger ones who started, and the younger ones who were starting it were starting to learn from their neighbors in the choir, from their direct partners. And this is the school way. Also, Bach's choirs
Yes.
have been working at his time already. It was a school where he was creating and performing most of his music. And these people, the youngsters, were brought to the choir and singing the soprano parts. But then they after they made the vocal change, they were the
Yes.
more experienced ones. And it's about style. You, of course, as a conductor, need to be informed as well about how to do an ornament, about where to do an ornament and where not to do an ornament, what an ornament can well can mean in terms of the content of it, how an ornament can be used to stress on to point on certain things. All these things are question of yeah, the first thing is experience and the listening experience as well, but also of a bit of knowledge. There are books to read, like Aronkurs Musik als Klangrede or Der musikalische Dialog, which are key books for us, well, key plans how to read this music in particular, Bach and
Okay.
Mozart in particular. But there is also well, it's useful to know about the advice given by by ancient teachers like Philipp Emanuel Bach, who wrote a school for the traverse flute, for the flauto traverso, and there he says a lot about how to execute some ornaments, how to phrase, how to articulate within a phrase, and so on. This is very helpful to know, but all this knowledge is only useful if you do it in concert. So it has to be actively done. Read it and do it. That's my advice.
Okay. You sung in London the cantata BWV 7, Christ unser Herr zum Jordankamp. And in the YouTube channel of Monteverdi Choir, you said E minor, one of Bach's preferred tonalities for thoughtful and meaningful messages. And you lived that as a balance between dramatic and contemplative reading. That's what you said. In this edition of Season Bach, we honor Maestro Helmuth Rilling, who passed away last February 11th. In an interview, he said, "This is one of the most important things that you have to do as a conductor, that you tell the musicians and the singers what the style is, as you understand the style. This goes especially for articulation, this goes in the orchestra, also for vibrato in the chorus, and this goes for the sound. Should it be light, romantic, dramatic? Style is something very important, and you need a basic knowledge, you said that, of that before you can make music in that style." What do you think about Bach style?
Bach style is something which everyone has to find personally. If we are speaking about Helmuth Rilling, he was one of these musicians who had a very, very personal profile before the musical practice appeared, brought by the so-called historical music practice inventors. So like Gardiner, like Herwege, like René Jacobs, like the Netherlands musician, like the Belgian musicians, who also who all were studying this style with the idea of historical sense. And Rilling had already been very profiled as a Bach performer without all these historical elements. He has performed Bach in a very authentic, religious way. Okay. When these elements were discovered and brought into the musical practice of every day by the other musicians, Rilling adapted parts of them and took them over, but he never gave up his personal style. He never changed to a Baroque musician the way that we have them today, that it has to be the original way to perform it, it has to be the authentic way to perform it. He found his authentic way as a personal way. And if we see what's happening nowadays, when all these well-trained and well-informed musicians are approaching the music of Bach, they find back to the fact that the message is very, very important, and the message has to be personal. And so all correctness in authenticity of a performance is absolutely senseless if the message behind is not given. So this is my opinion. You can perform the music of Bach with 4 saxophones, and it will be great because the structure of this music is so great. The structure and the content of this music is stronger than any correctness could bring it out. But as a vocal musician, it's also the connection between the text and the music which is very, very crucial. So you have to know what the words are meaning that you are singing. And well, for instance, Bach uses in his arias to repeat phrases and make them stress different words in different moments. In the repeated phrase, it will be maybe completely different than it was the first time. And he does this with a system because he wants you to understand these words better by doing them, by listening to them and by doing them. And it's very rhetorical music. The rhetoric element in this music is extremely important. So it is important to know what you say. It is important to know the way how you say it and how you say it differently the second time from the first time. All these things you could learn by Helmuth Rilling. He was the master, the great master in the interpretation of and the differentiation of combination of phrase and music in the music, at the music of Bach. So,
Okay.
but he was absolutely aware of also the background and the ironic background, or the 100% serious background of a phrase in the moment he was making you perform it. He gave his idea to you while you were singing it. That was one of these absolutely unbelievable qualities of this conductor.
Okay, and are there differences in the style and rules of interpretation of Bach music compared to the music of other Baroque composers? The coloratura, the demonized vibrato, when Bach writes about a question, a statement, a long phrase, even for his Jesus impatience and cantatas.
Well, every singer you can ask about what makes it so difficult to sing Bach will come to the point that breathing is different from composers use the voice. He uses the voice so instrumentally because music is absolute. A vocal line could also be an instrumental line, and an instrumental line could also be a vocal line. It's the way you play your instrument as a singer, which makes it so complicated and so different from other composers' work.
Okay, when you have to study a recitative for an aria, how do you know what's the right tempo to do it? How do you know in which moment you have to do a pianissimo or even a forte or even a crescendo? How do you know that?
Yeah, this is a difficult question because there are so many ways, and Bach doesn't, in particular in his recits, he does not write any dynamic demands. He is just writing the text and the musical line and some harmony. And how to do this? The best way is to read it like a speech. These recits are always written out monologues or dialogues. And this is, you have to perform this like a speaker. And the music is just an affirmation of your speech, and you can make use of it. Well, the music gives Bach's interpretation of the speech. So you are the interpreter of the speech and of Bach's interpretation of the speech. So you are the next one. You're the next element in this order of readings. The first reader, well, Bach who chose the text, Bach who wrote the music, Bach who interpreted the text by his music, and you who interpret the text and Bach. This is the number 3 in this chain, and
Yes.
you have to be a convincing reader to make it plausible also to your colleagues who have to be with you, because in the recit you are the leader, the singer is the leader, and all the others have to understand what you say and what you want to stress, and then it will get clear. So for me, as a person who has been trained with Bach music from the age of 10,
Yeah.
and instrumentally even before, it has become sort of a natural language. If I'm reading a recitative, it's a very quick understanding that I have for this. But for someone who does not speak German as a native, for instance, or for someone who is not firm with this ancient German, which is used by Bach, the key is study it by the meaning of the word, and then look where Bach does surprising harmonic uses, stresses, accents, and whatsoever. Then you will see where Bach wants the meaning to be, where Bach wants an accent to be, which word was important for Bach himself. You will find it in the harmony of a recitative. And then speak it on the music, on the harmony. Speak it on the harmony before you sing the phrase. And then go and make it a phrase sang not with the idea of the vocal use in a bel canto way. Speak it vocally. Speak it on the tone. And if you have done this, spoken it on the tone, then train your voice to sing it. And then you will have all means prepared to make it a vivid speech.
Okay. Which arias or recitatives do you consider essential for any baritone who wants to improve as a performer?
Oh,
I know it's difficult because all the repertoire is.
This is so well. You can use any of the areas of Bach for your voice to any of the areas, and you can use any of the recits by Bach to find into the style. He has a very universal style, and there is no particular area which has to be done by everybody to know this music. If you know how to do Bach, you can do all the areas, and if you can do areas really, really well, you will find an easy approach to the others.
Okay, and what's your opinion on what should be kept in mind when interpreting Jesus Christ in Bach cantatas or Patience?
I have to say that this is a thing I tried in so many ways to perform these pieces. I have
That's
done
a huge responsibility. Yeah.
I have done semi-staged versions. I have done versions with the idea of just a lecture, just a meditation. All is possible. It depends a lot on the context of the performance. If you do it on a stage and act with it, you will certainly exceed the frame that Bach himself was planning. But everything is allowed, and you might find, or I found out by performing Jesus as a character on stage, many of the human qualities of this biblical figure. It is, in particular with the music, with Bach, it is possible to see Jesus as a man, as a real human. It is also possible to perform Jesus in a way completely distant and just make the musical line by Bach explain everything about Jesus. And I would not say that one or the other way is the right way. Both are possible. The most touching performances of the Passions I have done with a choir which was in its majority built from non-professional singers who were, at the moment they performed it, so involved and so full of belief into what they said that it was magic. This music can be magical, and as I said, even non-religious people of these pieces, in particular the Passions, will understand overwhelming experiences with the Passions of Bach. Let us focus on St. Matthew Passion. I never will forget a performance which we did with Philipp Herreweger and his ensemble at the Proms in London, when it was sold out and there were some 6,000 people in this hall, in the Royal Albert Hall. And being on stage, closing your eyes, you would think you're in a small room by yourself. So quiet it was. There was a magic tension in this concert. This is one of my unforgettable moments. A similar impression made it to me when I was seeing B minor Mass with John Elliott Gardiner at the same place. It was also magic.
Yeah.
One of the unforgettable impressions I have had with this Passion was also the performance with Enoch zu Gutenberg, a German conductor who has had his own choir, the Kantorei Neubeuern. And this was one of these choirs. This was one of these choirs which I mentioned before, built up. Well, the majority of them were non-professional musicians, but they were so authentic in their belief. And if they have been seen chorals, you thought it was written for them. It was written for them because they gave you emotionally the concrete idea of love, of belief, of the passion in it.
Yeah.
That may be. Then of course there's to be mentioned a performance I had with John Elliott in the Thomaskirche in Leipzig, where Bach is buried, and
he's the idol.
Very strong moment for me as well, to sing this unbelievable piece where it was created.
Okay. And talking about German music, what do you recommend to achieve great performances or interpretations? We know the text is a principal objective.
I'd say it's a bit difficult to generalize this. The same as for Bach's music. I would also say every German composer has a reference to Bach. Bach is considered a god in music by so many composers that they all refer to him. So the way you study Bach is maybe also the way to study Brahms or to study Weber, Webern, Schönberg, to study whatsoever. It's the same principles. It's a question of doing it. You have to start doing it and experiencing it. That's my only advice. Thank you.
Okay. The Italian tenor Giacomo Lauri Volpi said, "Singing is the reflection of a spiritual vibration." For you, what should a singer's philosophy of life be?
I am doubtful about the direct theories like that. I'd say the truth is in the music. The truth is in the music, and what a singer has to find out is to get part of this music and to make the music part of yourself. And if there is a musical piece which is about a spiritual content, then this might be the thing which the music will lead you to as the performer of it. And if there is a dancing aspect in front, then the music will lead you to this message first, and will, if there is a joy, if there is sadness, if there is grief, if there is pain, if there is just the beauty of a line, if there is love, there's, well, it is impossible to verbalize music. Therefore, it exists. Music has more meaning than words can have. And that's what you learn by just performing, or by just doing it, or just practicing it. There are many things in music which you can hardly describe with words, but they are absolutely clear the moment you do them. You will understand them only by a musical thought, and a musical thought, you can express it only by music.
And I remember the last interview. I was so nervous and so excited because for me, being in an interview with one of my musical and vocally and artistic idols is like a dream, a true dream. And it was so like a joke because I said, "I love you." And for friends and all my relatives, it was a joke because really, when we have the opportunity to listen a singer, a great singer, and to enjoy his voice, his works, his art, it's like being in love with that voice, with that presence, with that amazing person. And it happened to me with you, with your voice. I have to say that. As an opera singer, maestro, what do you think are the most important things in this career? I know you talk about the philosophy of life for a singer, but in this career, in this moment, what do you think about, and how do you envision the present and future of opera?
Opera has an additional aspect to what we have been talking, to music.
Yeah, of course.
It has theater. the theatrical aspect. And even if Bach's music is sometimes very theatrical, it's not like opera.
Yeah, that's right.
And if opera, if I perform opera, my approach is to psychologically understand my character in every moment, and not only to understand it, to become this character, to and even if it's a bad character, this is the freedom of theater, and this is the perfect way to study yourself and to study all your instincts, study all your character qualities by becoming a special theatrical character, incorporating it. I know that this is a very personal approach of mine, and there are many opera singers who do not do this, who perform an opera like a performance, like performing a character. I'm not performing a character. I'm performing. Well, I'm part of a performance, but I'm not performing a character. I am
You
trying
live
to be.
the character.
I'm trying to incorporate it. This is possible in opera, and it is a very special quality if you are able to, and if you find the right partners who can do the same thing, then it gets real theater. All performances which are proclamations or shows of an intended idea, reduction can, well, the risk to be boring. If you perform your character the way that is my only way, then, for instance, the interesting moment, the most interesting qualities of a strong character are its weak moments. Let's say the most interesting qualities of a weak character on stage are its strong moments. So you have to find this ambiguity, and you have to live into it. And no person on earth is strong. We all are weak, and no person on earth must be weak. We all have our strong moments, and the entity of all these psychological differentiations, they are what makes a character. And it will never be, for instance, it can't be twice the same character. It's if a real person does things twice, they always will be 2 times different. You can't repeat a thing one by one. It will, the second time will always be different. So no theatrical show, and by the way, also no concert, will just be the same as it was before, as it has been already done. And for me, the opera stage is a place where I can learn the most about myself psychologically.
Yes, without doubt. I had to ask you about advices about what do you recommend to young singers, but I'm going to ask, as a baritone, what advice can you give to young baritons?
just go and sing and try to use your entire body to sing. Not only the voice, not only the breath, not only the appoggio, not only whatever. Use your entire body and your entire mind. Become a sounding unit from your toes to your head.
Okay. Last month, you were in a masterclass with young singers. You worked with them and had the chance to hear a sample of the new generation of singers. What do you expect from a singer when you hear them performing in concerts? We know that it's amazing to hear a singer that used his mind, his body, like an instrument. But a part of that you said, question before, what do you expect from them?
Well, as a teacher, I would recommend, and I'm expecting, coolness, the control about your artistic means on the degree that you are. So if you are a young singer and you have just started singing lessons and you're going to perform, try to use your means in the controlled way. And if you are great and experienced all star, do the same. Go there and control your means. That's the essential thing. Don't get out of control.
Okay.
That's what I expect. A performance on stage, be it concert or theater stage or whatsoever, needs to stay controlled.
Okay. In this year, you're working to sing from May to August Don Quixote, Wolf songs, and Brahms' Lieder, and some exciting music. Tell us about these upcoming concerts and how you approach such a complex and diverse repertoire.
Well,
this year is so exciting about your music plans.
It's yeah. Well, you know, this is there is a lot of repertory and different repertory in this season, but this is not unusual for me. I'm working
we know.
different styles and repertories since I started doing music, and one interesting thing about the performance of Don Quixote will be that the piece does not exist yet. We are creating the piece on a theater stage using music written for this theme, for this topic, by different composers, and building our own theatrical story, referring only to Cervantes, not to the already existing pieces, using them, building a new piece. This will be a very
new experience,
and interesting experience. The music that I'm performing by Brahms and so on, but this is stuff I've done already. But it's never, as I said, no two performances are the same. And if you prepare a piece for a new performance, which you have already done, you remember, of course, what you have done the last time, but you find a new approach and you find a new piece in it. And if you create music, which I'm also doing this year, if you do first performances of newly written pieces, then it is again like studying Bach, reading it, learning about the polyphony, learning about the harmony, learning about the dialogue, and all these details. This is, well, the fact that you do these things, all of them within one season, makes this life, this musician's life, so interesting and so exciting.
Okay. To end this amazing interview, for me it's a blessing. I have to ask, in a hypothetical scenario, which is impossible, what would you like to ask or say to Bach if he were standing in front of you?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, maestro, for all. I'm blessed. A big hug with my best wishes.
Thank you for your love, my dear. And yeah, let's continue talking at another time.
Of course. A big hug and all the best for you and your family, your people.
Liebe Seele, bitte du, geh, lasse dir den Toten Jesum schenken. O heilsames, o köstlichs